Welcome back to the Slab Lab. Gimme the Lesty. I am here with the man who finished fourth last year in the Cy Young Award race, left-hander Cole Ragans from the Kansas City Royals.
And Ragans continues to dominate.
Fastball struck him out.
Swing and a miss, strike three.
I want you to take us through what the preparation looks like for you on a work day. We're talking bullpen routine. You have a pretty good idea of what you're looking to achieve, but how have you outlined this process? What does that preparation process look like?
Wake up time doesn't really change. I sleep pretty late in season just because I can't fall asleep at night.
Mine's going.
Yeah, but, get to the field, jump in the hot tub, get a little sweat going. Usually I'll get out of the hot tub, eat lunch, mess around for a little, and then I start my routine, which is kind of like changed over the past few years. Each year I kind of add something or take something away. So I started going to tread in 22 off season, going into 23.
Shout out Ben.
Yeah, him and Zombro. I go through. I have like a whole movement thing they've given me, where it's kind of tailored to my body. I did a movement assessment, so it's like all these movements that are kind of helping my body move the way it should.
The most efficiently you can.
And then I'll do some like static stretching and stuff, the normal everyday stretching, stretch the hammies, that kind of stuff. And then like throughout the bullpen thing, it's kind of changes what I want to do in the bullpen depending on what I felt in my last outing. So it's like, all right, last outing, I was yanking sliders or I was yanking heaters. So it's like, all right, we're going to work on, getting the slider to my glove side, but in the zone, like keep it in the zone, find that starting point. If it's a fastball location, it'll be, just move the heater around to the four quadrants and kind of, get a feel of, all right, my fastball runs a little more than some guys. So it's like kind of figuring out what, where I should start it and that kind of stuff. And then sometimes it might not be anything to do with a certain pitch. It might be mechanically. So it's like,
okay,
all right,
checkpoints.
Yeah, like, all right, my stretch felt really good last outing, but wind up, I just felt off. I felt like I was like, hands getting stuck in the glove or something like that. So it's like, I'll throw my whole bullpen out of the wind up. I won't even mess with the stretch.
Really?
It's like we have all the, devices and electronics to kind of look at where my hand is, my body and that kind of stuff. As the season goes on, you kind of manage it. Like last year, the last 2 months, I just wouldn't throw bullpens.
Sure, shut it down.
Yeah, it's like, I feel good. I'll throw some flat ground stuff, but I'm not going to get off the mound and save my bullets.
What about day after? At that point in the season, day after, because I was similar. Where towards the end of the season, I'm not even touching a baseball the day after. Right, the last month of the season.
Yeah,
or
so like I learned a lot from like Lugo and Waka talking about like day after I throw in a game, and I wouldn't touch anything. I'd come in, I'd work out, get my weight room stuff taken care of, get some arm care, some soft tissue stuff taken care of, and that's it. I'm
good
done.
to go.
Yeah, like so it's just a super relax, like let the body recover, and then go from there. And I'm a day 2 bullpen guy. Some guys are day 3.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that is different.
So on early mid-season, I'm throwing day 2 pins, but that could change also. It's like all right. I still learn stuff about myself every year, every day. Talking to like the Lugo and Waka and all them, it's like sometimes they're day 2 early in the season and they move it to day 3 later in the season. Sometimes they start off day 3 off rip and it's like give themselves an extra day to kind of recover, and then it's a light pin or whatever.
And Jeffers, there's 99.
Are there certain data points or are there certain things that you are looking for that you have decided this is where my focus will be, this is where my attention will be?
A big thing for me last year was release point.
Okay.
Like make sure my release point is everything's coming out in the same spot. And it's not like, all right, slider, I'm dropping my arm slot, because at times early in the season I drop my arm slot on the slider to try to get around it. Just make sure everything's coming out of that same tunnel, just because it's going to help with, the hitter seeing one thing, but it's not what they think they're seeing, keep them off balance, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. You possess what we call outlier characteristics, and you understand that about yourself. What was the moment where you realized, this is who I am, this is what I can do, and now this is how I have to continue to go about it?
So I got traded from Texas to over here. So it was like I kind of started learning little things about myself, throughout that whole year while I'm in the bullpen. I felt like that helped me a lot. Even I struggled pretty badly out of the pen, but helped me kind of figure a few things out, going through repetitions of like, all right, I'm starting this here and it's going here. It's, figuring out the little things that like, all right, I see this in a game. I see the reaction that guys are giving me, that kind of stuff to try to, just like I said, it's still learning stuff about myself.
Swing reader?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm getting better at it. If a guy's like, all right, he's like pulling my heater, like he's getting the head out. It's like, all right, changeups, might be good. Or it's like, all right, he's getting the head out to a heater in. We might go down and away, or we might try to go up, see if he'll chase it up. Or, all right, he's chasing this up. I'm like, let's see if he'll chase this down. That changeup was really good, and he got a little piece of it, and it was perfectly put on, really good pitch, but in the zone. Let's see if he'll chase this one off. Watching the little things. I also have, Sal and Freddie back there watching as well. Those two guys are pretty dang good at what they do.
Very good at what they do.
They help a lot. We talk in between innings, before the game, go over. They have their notes. I have my notes. Our pitching coaches have their notes. So it's three brains, with our notes, and it's kind of just going through and brainstorming, figure out what the best plan of attack is.
As far as the pitch grips go, what was the thing that led you to the comfort of the grips?
Yeah, so four seam is, traditional four seam. Yeah, so like four seam, I'm literally traditional, here, and all I do with a changeup is slide it over.
So four seam change.
Yeah, and it's, I'm not seam shifting. I'm a big pronator.
Yeah, yes, you are.
So,
what did I tell you? You just you perked me up. I have referred to you, especially when I call your games, as a master pronator.
Yeah.
This is an individual who really understands how to stay inside the baseball.
Yeah, big time. So it's taken me a while to kind of figure out breaking balls. Like high school, I was fastball, curveball primarily, messed around with a changeup. But once I got into pro ball, I lost all feel for breaking balls.
Dude, when did I need you to tell me when this happened, because the same exact thing happened to me. I had a great curveball in high school. It disappeared, picked up a changeup, and I've never been able to throw anything with fucking spin.
Yeah, so it's literally like I got drafted. I came out here. Lefties and changeups kind of go together. It's just
absolutely
you kind of
it's a perfect marriage.
But I got put on like a deload program type thing because I'd thrown some innings in high school, and we just work on mechanics, work on like putting some weight on. I think I was like 180 pounds at the time, so put some weight on. But I would sit there with a softball and just throw changeups with a softball, and it's like if you don't get it out here and pronate, that thing is getting launched over somebody's head. So I go to short season, like my first full year I stay in extended, I go to short season, and I can't figure out a breaking ball. Like I'm fastball changeup. You're getting one of the two. And go through the two elbow surgeries, and it's like first day throwing a breaking ball. It's like, I found it. It's a banger. And then like 2 days later, it's like, never mind. I have no feel. So when I started tread, gained some velo, but also I found like I'd gone through every curveball grip known to man. I felt like, and I finally
spiked it.
Yeah, and I finally just went back to like your normal spike, but just like a different thought process with it. And it's like all I'm thinking is like I'm trying to literally throw like the front of my hand at the plate. And I'm not physically going to get here.
No, but
I'm going to get to the front of the ball.
Yeah.
And so now it's like my curveball's gotten better. It's a little more consistent. And then the slider is, it's kind of like this.
Okay, so you're off the top of the horseshoe there?
Yeah, like I'm like basically torquing my fingers into the horseshoe right here. And all I'm thinking with it is kind of similar to the curveball.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to the curveball, except I'm keeping a stiff wrist, but I'm going like this and not like this.
Sure, there's not that torque. There's not that turn.
And I, like 23, I got traded over here. We started throwing the slider. It was really good.
It's fantastic. I mean, it was your best pitch.
Yeah, for the last 2 months. And then last year it was like hit or miss. Like one game it might be good. I might not have it for 4 games, and then I'd find it, and I've toyed around. I changed grips. And so this off season, like that was a big thing for me. I literally took a video of me holding this grip so I'll never forget it again.
I love that.
And
I love that.
Started off, it was kind of cuttery, and then it's like, I figured out the stiff wrist thing, the feel of that. And then it was like, my last bullpen before I came out here, it was like, I thought I tried that, and it was like, every slider was a like gyro movement like I wanted
What
it.
you were after.
And so I was like, all right, well, I've had days where it's been good before. Let's see when we get out to Arizona if it's like, and it's
'Cause we know
kind
what
of
happens
stayed
here.
similar, so I'm now it's like, all right, I've got the feel back to get the movement. Now let's find the sights of, all right, I need to throw it here to get it in the zone, and then I need to throw it here to get a chase. And it's like trying to figure out those.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. I went through this same evolution, and it was learning how to throw this pitch is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Learning how to pitch with this pitch is a completely different animal.
100%.
And that's where you're at.
Yeah, so now it's like, all right, I've got the movement down. Now let's figure out, all right, I want it, I just want it bottom of the zone.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Quality strike.
0-2, this guy will chase a little. Let's get it off the plate, but we want it to start on the plate so it's not just a non-competitive,
Right.
I want strike to ball, but it'd be close. So
Something I can work off.
yeah, so like that's been my bullpens the last couple times. Is all right, I'm going to throw a heater over here. Now I'm going to throw a slider off of it, or I'm going to throw a changeup, and I'm going to throw a slider off of it. And it's kind of like figuring out the starting point with the slider off of those pitches, just kind of like the tunneling aspect of
Right.
things.
Well, the fact that and because of your movement profile, again, we're creating. We've got the run with the heater. We've got the fade with the changeup, because there's not a ton of that.
Yeah.
Right. It's just that damn.
Yeah, it's
It
literally.
just hits a fucking sheet, Riggs, and then just like it ricochets and goes that way.
He strikes out swinging.
I watch guys at times swing under your changeups,
Yeah.
right? Like, do you see that?
There's like been a couple times throughout over the last 2 years where like they just swung under. Like I saw the barrel go under that like in slow motion on the mound, and I was like, that's just wild. To,
Dude,
like,
trust me, dude. Watching it, like like I have a responsibility to like kind of keep it clean for the public that's listening to what I'm saying. But in my mind, I'm like salivating and I'm thinking all kind of like triple X-rated thoughts watching what you've just done.
Yeah, it's I mean everybody's a little different. Some guys have changeups that have like no vert and they just take off. Some guys like myself, it's more of like a velo difference. If you look at my changeup on paper, people are probably like, that's terrible.
That's
like,
right.
that is not a good pitch. But it's like it's 10 to 12 off my fastball, and it has four seam spin pretty much, and it's it's just everybody's different. You find a way of you kind of learn who you are as yourself, and it's like, all right, my changeup plays. I don't need to sit here and try to kill vert, and then it might ruin what I have. So it's like, I'm just trying to get this thing at the bottom of the zone.
I could talk about, and I won't do this to you, but I could talk about the changeup until the sun sets today.
Yeah.
And I call it the great equalizer, right? It's what allows you to set the speed limit regardless of how hard you throw. But has there been any interest, any desire for you to add a different profile, meaning a two-seamer, a sinker? Because you've thought about him at times.
For over the last, I don't know, 2 years probably, I've toyed with a sinker, two-seam, or runner essentially is what I'm trying to get. And let me tell you, it is not easy. Like I stay behind the ball pretty well.
Right.
And so it's like I go two-seam grip, and it's like in a bullpen, it's like 18 vert, and I'm like,
that's not what
what? And then I'll go back to a four-seam grip, and I like get on the inside of it. It's got like 16 run, and I'm like,
what am I doing?
I might as well just, So it's kind of a work in progress type thing, toy with it here and there. It's, little things.
Has the sweeper been anything that you have just, and the reason I asked this is again, because of the profile, right?
Yeah.
Because things that do this and what combats that. Well, something that goes that way.
So one of my really good friends back home, went to high school together, is Cole Sands with the Twins.
Okay.
Live in the same neighborhood, went to high school together, hang out all off season, play catch. One day we were like messing around, and it's like, let's see what we got.
Let's see what this
I like
does.
ripped this sweeper, like random grip I saw on like, Instagram,
Do you
I think.
remember what it was?
It was literally this, like inside and inside, and I'm just trying to like,
Bro.
first one is a banger, and I'm like, oh.
Bucket.
And so I bring it out to, spring training, I think it was that year, and first light BP, it's perfect. It's like 13 horizontal at like 84, and I'm like, and at the time I'm throwing like, I'm at 92.
I was going to say low 9s.
And so I'm like, all right, this is
Still
going to be
knocking
good.
the rust off.
Let me tell you, after that light BP, it disappeared, and I've never found it. Never found it again. Like, just straight yank balls, and I just stopped. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to work on a curveball. So
just bag it.
Yeah,
Just bag it.
I kept it for, I don't know, we got into the season a little bit, and it just was not there. So we went to a cutter and kind of used it as like a slutter type thing to lefties. And I still have the cutter, but I've changed grips with it. And, you know,
Still something you're manipulating?
Yeah, it's like sometimes, so like I originally started like, here's a four seam, and I just go here. Well, when it clicks, it's really good. But when it doesn't click, it's a cement mixer right down the middle, and it goes a long ways. So like I've turned the ball completely around.
Wow,
like
horse, you closed the shoe. Okay, but you're on the side of
sliders here, my cutter will be here, and I'll like torque it a little, because then my finger can like grab this lace.
Okay.
And it's like I'm still behind it, but it's grabbing that as it's coming off, and then I'll get a little bit of cut.
I was just going to ask, is where you're at, because it's not like you're on the front there with that. You're feeling that anchor really in the middle of that.
Yeah, so like
pad,
I'm
right?
thinking like the laces like on this first knuckle.
Yep.
And I'll you know, depending on the day, if it's like, all right, I'm staying too far behind it, I'll torque it a little more to like, you know, make it go that way. And some days it's like I don't have to torque it as much. Like it's just like I'm getting that the feel's there a little better. Yeah, the finish of it is a little easier to get to that day, because I mean, you know, some days you don't have to think and it's just there, and some days you're thinking a lot. You're like, oh, I got to get to the front of this ball, or, you know, certain things.
So speaking of thinking, are you a lab guy? Meaning, are you a video guy? Is that something that you value, something you pay attention to at all? If so, is it more about yourself, or is it more about your opponent?
I have notebooks over from the last like 4 years of every outing I've had. Over the last 4 years, whether that be in AA, AAA, the big leagues, it didn't matter.
I would love to look at those one day with you.
So for sure, so I have my notebook from last year, from all my starts. I'm watching video of when I face this guy, other lefties with similar profiles. You know, all right, Crochet's, he's got a sweeper type thing, but he's got his little cutter gyro type. He's got a changeup. Scooble's got, you know, four seam. He's got a sinker as well, but he's still got four seam changeup. He uses his changeup a lot. He's got the, you know, the gyro slider. He's got the curveball. So it's like watching guys with similar profiles, if they've faced them pretty recently. I'll watch like, you know, Snell, and just kind of get an idea of like, all right, these guys are attacking them here. Like, you know, they're getting some ugly swings on this pitch, or they're getting this guy to chase this pitch below or off or in or up, or, you know, little things like that. And then I have heat maps and stuff we go through. All right,
Shout out
this is where, you know, guys are absolutely hammering baseballs, and this is where they're not. So it's kind of just going through, figuring out where my stuff is going to play. But at the same time, it's like, if a guy hammers a changeup, I'm not going to throw a changeup.
Absolutely not.
It's like,
I'm going to take twice.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's like one of those things where it's like, all right, if I execute this pitch and I've set him up to go here, I'm in a good spot.
It's a done deal. Sequencing. How much of that has been something that has been innate, something that you have just developed from a little fella toeing the slab to now being where you're at?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a mixture of learning myself and throwing, you know, repetition, sitting here throwing bullpens, like, all right, I'm going to go cutter here to a changeup here to a, you know, or a heater here to a curveball or a slider, or, you know, just kind of messing around in bullpens. But also, I mean, like I said before, I have Freddie and Sal back there who are also, I mean, Sal's been doing this at an elite level for, well, I think this is year 14.
Unbelievable.
So it's, you know, I trust those guys. We talk, we brainstorm. They might see something that I don't, and it's, you know, so I put a lot of, you know, like I said, we're both prepared, but I'm listening to those guys. I'm seeing where they're coming from, and, you know, it's makes my life a lot easier out there.
Do you have an understanding of how fucking good you are? Do you because there's a handful of left-handers who are capable of doing what you do. There's only one left-hander who's really performed better in one of those categories. That dude just won the Cy Young Award. I mentioned it. You finished fourth. So are you aware of the work that you've been doing, my dude?
I mean, I know the stuff that I put in the off season and behind the scenes and stuff like that. And yeah, I know I'm good. You know, I think success helps with confidence a little bit.
No doubt.
but also you got to be a little confident to be out there. You can't just go out there and be like, I suck. You got to know you're good. Like, I can get these guys out. So it's like a mixture of both. If you're in the big leagues, you're good. You're good at something. Somewhere, something you do really, really well. That's why you're here.
Else.
You meet all these guys. Like, I met Crochet last year. I met Scooble at the All-Star game, and Scooble was right next to me. We were like locker mates for a couple days, but all three of us, got to talk to him, play catch with Crochet, and you can't miss those guys. You see them on TV all the time. You see what they do. They're unbelievable. They're disgusting. I mean, their stuff is really good. So it's just Scooble he had the surgery stuff. So did Crochet, and then you come back and they're freaking dogs out there. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch them compete.
And it probably gives you a lot of confidence. Just as you mentioned, these are guys who have gone through what I've gone through. Not only have they been there, done that, but they're similar in terms of how they go about their business. This is a great buffet for me to choose from. For me to select from.
I mean, you like I said, I watch a lot of video. If they face the team before me, it's like all of our repertoires are, we all throw, pretty hard, use changeups, use sliders here, that kind of stuff. So it's like, all right, they're having success with that. I can too. Like, they're doing this, they're going at these guys like this. It's like, all right, let's go.
What do you have to do this season? What do you want to do this season to build on what you had done last year? Because no doubt a breakout, and as you've just mentioned, people know who these dudes are. Well, you're that dude. You're one of those dudes. So for you personally, where do you want to see the game take its next step? Where do you want to get just that much better?
Yeah, I think big thing for me is just cut the walk rate down a tick.
Okay. Limit the traffic.
Yeah, I think, Scooble does an unbelievable job of that. He just like, I watched, from the interview y'all had, just him talking about it, and he just goes at dudes. Like, he just, here it is. I know. The same. I know, and it's.
But good luck, bro.
Yeah, so I think cutting the walk rate down will lead to, less pitches in innings, not as many deep counts. I think a goal for everyone is 200 innings.
Sure.
Like, doesn't happen as much anymore. The game's changed, obviously. But I think that's if you throw 200 innings, you're filling it up. You're not walking guys, and you're commanding your stuff pretty well. You're keeping guys off balance because you're throwing 6, 7, 8 plus innings every single time you're out there to get to 200.
And that right there, I'm so glad you said that, because in a day and age where I want to believe that we're starting to see the game cycle itself back to appreciating the athletes on the field who are behind you, picking up the ground balls, chasing down the fly balls for you, that they're going to be able to sort of play the game of baseball a little differently, a little more freely, as opposed with a calculator in their back pocket. And guys like you out on the mound are really starting to, I think, show how important it is to understand the value of getting deep into ball games. Because somebody like you who possesses your kind of stuff, if I can have you out there in the 7th and the 8th, you're still the best option for us.
Yeah, it's fun when you get deep into games like
that.
Buddy. One, your boys down there in the pen love you.
Yes, they do.
Give them a little
steak
break.
dinners and drinks on them.
But no, it's just fun. It's getting deep into games like that. It's like you're facing guys 3 times. You got to come up with 3 different ways to get a guy out. You're thinking, you're brainstorming. It's like a game inside of a game, essentially. And it's fun. It's fun thinking like that. Like, you're like, all right, I got this guy this way. Those guys are good. They make adjustments quick, so you got to make the adjustment just as quick to keep them off balance. And it's like I said, 200 innings would be freaking sick.
Well, in a game of adjustments, my dude, last year you made quite a few of them, and you continue to keep the league guessing. You continue to keep the league off balance collectively, just like you do in the box. I can't thank you enough, man, for taking the time. I know you've got a lot of stuff to do. You've got demand out here. You've got some sunshine to catch as well. So just for spending a few minutes with us in the Slab Lab, Lefty, I much appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you.
Anytime, dude. Anytime. Good luck. And I think 200 innings is something that is absolutely attainable. I don't need a gift basket when that happens. just know that I'm rooting for you, big dog.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Right on, brother.
Thank you.
That's Lefty Cole Ragans in the Slab Lab.